get this Superman.
Welcome back, everyone. DC is so confident in the Flash movie, they've been showing it to everyone with a pair of eyes to hype it up, and now apparently they've also screened it for Henry Cavill himself, so we got him reacting to the movie. I'll explain how he fits into all this in the Flash movie, and because of James Gunn's big DC reboot, Henry Cavill's Superman is still in the movie, just not in the same way that he was before the reboot. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. I'll start giving away tickets to the movie in this video. I'll just pick random people from the comments. All you have to do to enter is just be a subscriber and let me know where you want to see Henry Cavill Superman come back. If we know he's not going to be in the Superman Legacy movie, but Henry Cavill himself said that he'd eventually come back as a version of Superman. But recently in your feed, you probably saw Sasha Calle, who plays the new Supergirl, talking about Henry Cavill. She did a big feature recently talking about her character in the movie and explained when they first cast her. The video of her still online, with director Andy Muschietti voice chatting with her to tell her she got the part, and her reaction just freaking out because it is a huge deal being cast as Supergirl. When she was talking about her Supergirl in the movie, she said that she'd met both Henry Cavill and Melissa, who played DC TV's Supergirl, to get their advice on the Flash movie and her performance as Supergirl, just becoming a version of the character in general.
I met him after I finished the movie to clear that up. I didn't speak to him till very after we finished the movie, and we briefly met. I gave him a hug. He is so sweet and so kind. And I was obviously like nerding out, and I was like, did I make you proud? Did you like my, I was like, as Superman, did I make you proud? And he was like, absolutely, you killed it. And that meant a lot to me. Of course it did, I have large respect for him and what he has done. And, yes.
Do you know what the symbol stands for?
It means hope, right?
What's the S stand for?
It's not an S. On my world, it means hope.
Maybe it's not a surprise that Henry Cavill is such a gentleman. If you've ever watched any interviews with him talking about Superman, talking about the DC movies, or just any interviews in general, even if he's not talking about the DC movies like his other stuff, he is the consummate gentleman. Like, he doesn't actually get up to a lot of the beef stuff that you see like The Rock and Vin Diesel get up to. Like, The Rock even started going after people on Twitter a little after the Black Adam movie started to get bad reviews. Henry Cavill is way cooler about stuff like that. Like, he doesn't get up to a lot of that kind of drama. But it is cool to hear him give his stamp of approval to the movie and to Sasha Calle's version of Supergirl just in general. A lot of people who have seen the movie said that she is actually one of the better parts of the movie too, so I'm actually pretty hopeful about her. I believe the way they explain the switch in the movie, like the combining timelines, the Flash uses a version of Hypertime and the Speed Force to basically overlap a bunch of timelines where different things happen. He tries to run back in his own timeline of the Justice League Earth, like the main timeline, and winds up crossing over into Michael Keaton Batman's timeline, and then also crosses over with Supergirl's timeline, which is from another timeline, combining like this third, even different timeline with a bunch of amalgam things all combined on this single Earth. So Supergirl isn't meant to be originally from Michael Keaton Batman's Earth. She's from a completely different timeline. It's just all these different timelines being combined together because of the Flash's mistakes. That's where they get to the flashpoint of it all. And in the new amalgam timeline, when Zod comes to destroy Earth, he's also destroyed Superman's pod when he was still a baby. So when the Flash is taking everyone to go look for Superman in this underground bunker, that's why they find Sasha Calle's Supergirl, because her pod wound up landing on Earth. That storyline's taken from the original Flashpoint story that Superman got, where Superman's pod was captured by the military and they kept him in an underground bunker to prevent him from becoming super strong. But they're not using this new weird amalgam timeline to completely replace everything from the Justice League timeline. It's just meant to be like this weird offshoot amalgam timeline that the Flash is on for a little while during the movie. And because he spends so much time in the Speed Force, like Back to the Future style, trying to go back in time or change the timeline multiple times, there are a lot of cameo scenes during the Speed Force, and I don't think that DC TV's Supergirl is supposed to be referenced during the movie. I think the closest they get to DC TV Arrowverse references is supposed to be a cameo from Teddy Sears as a version of Jay Garrick, which is pretty surprising. Not only is it weird because he was more of a version of Hunter Zolomon Zoom, like a completely different character pretending to be a version of Jay Garrick on the TV show, you'd also expect that they'd have a Grant Gustin cameo to pay off the Ezra Miller Crisis on Infinite Earths cameo scene. During that crossover, he even hears Grant Gustin's Flash use the name The Flash for the first time.
I'm also the Flash.
You're also the what?
The Flash?
The Flash?
During the movie, you hear them call him the Flash, so like he's been the Flash for a while. It'd be fun if they actually explained that he started using that name because he heard it during Crisis on Infinite Earths and just liked it so much. But Henry Cavill recently explained the long-term plan for Superman just based on James Gunn's reboot. Originally, before the reboot, DC had a plan to bring him back and do Man of Steel 2. The Black Adam post-credit scene was meant to help set that up. The funny thing about that is that Brainiac was going to be one of the big villains during Man of Steel 2, and reportedly, Brainiac is also going to be one of the big villains in the Superman Legacy movie. Going back to Richard Donner's Superman, he also wanted to use a version of Brainiac in his movies at some point too, but for some reason wasn't able to. So they've been trying to do Brainiac for years now in Superman movies. But that's why right after the Black Adam movie came out, Henry Cavill went on his Instagram and posted this video talking about finally coming back for more Superman.
I wanted to wait until the weekend was over before posting this, because I wanted to give you all a chance to watch Black Adam. But now that plenty of you have, I wanted to make it official that I am back as Superman. And the image you see on this post and what you saw in Black Adam are just a very small taste of things to come. So there's a lot to be thankful for, and I'll get to that in time. But I want to thank you guys most of all. Thank you for your support and thank you for your patience. I promise it will be rewarded.
Things got weird because shortly after that happened, shortly after he posted that video, James Gunn was hired by DC. He executes his reboot plans, and because he wants to do Superman Legacy is like a Superman Year 2 or Year 3 movie, kind of like the Robert Pattinson version of Batman, very young version of the character. They don't think Henry Cavill can play young enough to be that version of the character. Like, he could play younger, but apparently they want him to be very young. Thus, the Superman recasting and Henry Cavill kind of explaining what was going on with that. He did a bunch of posts about this, like right after he posted that original video, like, oh yeah, I'm back, but oh yeah, hold on for a second, because there's a whole bunch of other stuff that just happened 5 seconds later. There's the important part. When he says the opportunity for him to come back as Superman in the future, I think what James Gunn and Henry Cavill both are thinking is multiverse. Just say that he's from the multiverse. Because they're using the Flash movie in a version of Flashpoint to make some minor changes to the DC movie universe that everything is going to take place in going forward. At least the connected movies, like this is the sum total of all upcoming DC movies and where everything fits in. Some of it will be clear Elseworlds like the Robert Pattinson Batman and some of the other stuff, but most of it will be connected. And what they'll do is they'll bring these characters back and say that the Snyderverse is an alternate universe where all the characters exist and some of them just happen to look very similar to the new versions, because James Gunn did say that some of the characters would continue. Like, for instance, Amanda Waller is going to be played by the same actress. A lot of the Suicide Squad actors will be the same. Margot Robbie will continue to be Harley Quinn in his upcoming DC movies. Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman will be the same, even though it's going to be a while before she actually debuts because they're doing that Themyscira prequel series. Jason Momoa is very confident that he's coming back, like he's absolutely sure, but as a different character, probably Lobo, it sounds like. And it's just simpler to explain that it all happens in a different universe. And because it'll be 2025 before we see Superman Legacy and 2026 before we see the Batman Brave and the Bold movie, long enough will have gone by that general casual audiences that don't follow the comics will understand the concept, and different actors playing similar versions of characters. Like we have the Flash movie with Michael Keaton's Batman. It's basically what's going on between him and Ben Affleck's version of Batman. Because of all the reboots, though, there are a lot of Henry Cavill deleted scenes. Like, he did specifically shoot footage for special cameo meant to set up what their original plans for this Crisis on Infinite Earths movie they were building to, like their original 10-year plan of movies. So he was going to appear to the Flash in the movie and warn about some coming crisis. Reportedly now, they've changed that, and now it's different footage of him from the Justice League movie, or slightly different footage of Henry Cavill Superman and other Justice League actors that appeared to him in the Speed Force. Hopefully they'll release some of that footage as deleted scenes. So if Henry Cavill plans on coming back as a version of Superman in the future in some different way, what movie do you want that to be? I feel like most of us are just thinking Crisis on Infinite Earths in the movies. Just do a version of Crisis on Infinite Earths at some point, and you can bring anybody you want back from anywhere. And as much as it sucks that Henry Cavill isn't going to be in Superman Legacy, he did announce that Warhammer series that he's making. It sounds like the plan is to try and premiere that around the same time that Superman Legacy, like that same year that it's coming out. So it'll be a couple years before we see it, but there will be a bunch of stuff that he's working on right now. I've already done a big video on the trailer that he released for that, so click here for that Henry Cavill Warhammer trailer, and click here for my Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse review video. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.